Meet Jeanette McCurdy. She's an author, a writer, and a big feeler. So much so that she's making a podcast all about her feelings. Jeanette's memoir, I'm Glad My Mom Died, welcomed the world into the story of Jeanette and all of the intense life experiences that molded her into the person she is today. But how does she manage all of the messy, hard feelings she's feeling right now? In each episode of Hard Feelings, her new podcast with Lemonada Media, she'll tell you all about it. Jealousy, shame, social anxiety, she wants to laugh about it, cry about it, and work through it with you by her side. Why? These hard feelings are a big part of the human condition. They unite us all, but only once we're willing to face them. Hard Feelings is out now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Hey boo hey, it's me, X Mayo. I'm a comedian, writer, producer, and taco expert. Also, when it comes to confidently managing my finances, your girl is a beginner, for sure. So I want you to join me on The Dough, Lemonada Media's new 10-episode podcast series, as I dive into better understanding the financial trapdoors that any of us could fall into. And I've fallen, I keep on falling like Alicia Keys, okay? But if you've ever stayed in a bad relationship to avoid moving out costs or just found yourself swimming in debt, you are not alone. Each week, I'll be exploring all types of financial flops and money myths that stand in the way of our financial freedom. On this show, Cash is queen. We hardly know her, but baby, we are determined to be her best friend. The Dough is out now, wherever you get your podcasts.
Lemonada.
Hello, I'm Elyse Myers. I am super excited to share with you my appearance on Mike Birbiglia's Working It Out podcast. You know Mike Birbiglia. He's an award-winning comedian, actor, filmmaker, author. He's also the host of the podcast Working It Out, where he invites creatives like Bill Hader, Stephen Colbert, Quinta Brunson, Ira Glass, Drew Barrymore, and they discuss their creative process and work out material. It's like being a fly on the wall for a creative writing session. I was on Working It Out last month, so I'm going to share that episode with you right now. Mike and I talk storytelling, and he makes a very strong case for me to be telling stories live on a stage. I also give him some notes and ideas on 2 stories that he's working on for his new hour of comedy. It was so fun, and I think that you're really going to enjoy it.
You talk about postpartum depression that you experienced and how, and you describe it, and I'm going to do a terrible job of explaining this, but you describe it through the specificity of your hands when you're going through depression. And it was one of those things where I was like, you have this really specific approach, which is attacking a really macro idea with mundane, smaller things.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, like, how'd you arrive at that?
Well, I think that it comes from, I can't interpret postpartum depression for anybody else. I can't interpret most common shared experiences through any other lens of my own. And so to me, it's like, if I try and personalize something so big to so small, it's like, this is how I experience this thing. In one part of my brain, I'm like, well, then that's not relevant to anybody else because that's just your experience. But in doing that and breaking it to such a molecular level of my postpartum depression was experienced and I kind of found my way out of it by looking at my hands and going, these are the same hands you got married with. People hear that, and though it feels so personal to me, they're like, no, I have felt that too.
Yeah.
But because it's so specific, they feel like you're reading their mind.
Yeah.
And that is an instant connection point. I'm not trying to manipulate anybody. I'm not trying to make this relatable. I want to give people such specific information about my life and my feelings and the way I experience something so that just on the off chance that they have also experienced that, I don't have to explain to you anything else about postpartum depression.
Yeah.
And I know, or you know that I know that we have experienced the same thing.
Yeah.
And I think that that's my goal is I want to talk about big things, but make them feel like you're reading my diary in a non-traumatic way. Not so uncomfortable that you're I shouldn't be reading this, but so personal that you're me too, same.
And it's interesting because you're talking about using the specific to convey a universal, and that's an idea that people talk about in writing all the time, but you do it so effectively. And because I found when I was hearing you tell that story, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally know what she means. And yet I did not do that.
Yeah.
I did not look at my hands. I did not blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But for me, it's like kind of like my sleepwalking story where it's like I jumped through a second story window. Very few people have done that.
Right.
But I think
hope not a lot.
Yeah. But hopefully I tell the story in a way where people go, oh, I have a thing like that where I'm uncomfortable telling that
Right.
about myself.
Well, the way that you do, and I feel like we're similar in this, is that you're not talking so much about the experience. You're talking about how you internalized it.
Yeah.
And that is what makes it relatable as well. Because it's like someone doesn't have to have had to jump out of a second story window, but you can explain how it felt, what you were thinking. And like that's a whole journey that you can feel about messing up someone else's name when like calling out their coffee order. That doesn't have to be so extreme. Like someone with anxiety can literally feel like messing up someone's name is like jumping out of a second story window. And like those are the same feelings. And so being able to express that internal dialogue that's happening with you in your life is like the most crucial part, I think, of making any situation relatable to somebody.
It's interesting. Like Jessica Gross wrote this piece in the Times recently about, she was talking about Maggie Smith's book that just came out and John Mulaney's comedy special that just came out, and how both of them call out that they're telling autobiographical stories, but this is the part I'm choosing to tell you. And they just hang a lantern on it. I thought that was really interesting. It's like, I was thinking about with your stuff, like, do you have a code for yourself of like, I'm not going to talk about these things?
I think that some of it is a feeling, some of it's decided. I think that if it's not my story to tell, that's an immediate no. Like if it's not, if I'm crossing a line of like sharing information that it's just not mine, like that's not a story I tell. But then there's stuff that is mine to tell, but it directly affects people that I love, and that's if they're not the ones that have decided to be in this position and in the spotlight, like they've not asked for this life, so that's not fair either. So there's some of that, and then some of it's like I just want some of my life to be private, and I want my family to feel like we're still a family, and it's not the three of us and then the rest of the world as well, also in our home all the time. Yeah. And so a lot of it is like just between me and my husband, like we share stories about us. We don't really talk about our son very much, or like, we try and have these like very loose boundaries that are probably going to change and sometimes grow and sometimes get much closer and, keep things more close to us. But I know that there are things that we don't share, but it's kind of just a figure it out as we go. But some things you just have a gut feeling of like, this just isn't my story to tell. Yeah. Do you have a very clear cut answer?
Mine's pretty clear. It's like there's people in my life who I talk about a lot, like my wife Jenny and our daughter Una, and my brother Joe and my parents. And but I'm not, I don't post photos of my daughter and like that. I feel like that's her life.
Right.
And I think increasingly I'm talking less about her. Like in the last show, she has like 5 or 6 lines, whereas in the new one when she was a baby, I feel like it could be any baby, the things that occur. You know what I mean?
I'm curious, like for you specifically, and I know that's your podcast, so you can cut all this up, but like what is it like doing all of this while still having a family, and like how do you balance that? Because I'm trying to find that right now.
I don't think it's possible.
Okay, that's a really honest answer.
Some bad news for you.
Thank you.
No, I think possible. One thing I'm lucky about is that my wife Jenny is a poet, and she reads my stuff and I read her stuff, and we interact on. And so if there's stuff that she doesn't like, and I didn't say that, I said more like this, and blah, 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 we talk it out. And a lot of times over the years, with the new one, she was a credited writer on the show. And it's like, I feel like we get through it, but it's also, doesn't mean it's not challenging.
Yeah.
It's definitely like, because in marriage, you have 2 people who are witnessing almost identical events and remembering them 2 very different ways.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
So like...
Oh my gosh, yes.
So I have a joke, and usually I do this in the material section, but I'll just say a joke that I have that's new at my show. It's just like, many years ago we were in Chicago. Jenny and I are on an elevator, a hotel elevator coming down. We had stayed in the hotel before. And I said to her, it just occurred to me, oh, we stayed in this hotel before and you loved the cafe in the lobby. And then her response was, she goes, who did? And I was like, oh no, because who did?
She's like, who else did you stay here with?
Right. You got that very quickly. Sometimes audiences don't get it as quickly. So the subtext of it is, A, that wasn't me. B, that must have been someone else you were seeing. C, I'm not happy about this. And we get to the lobby, doors open, and she goes, I love this cafe. And I was like, I almost died in the elevator. And you just casually remembered that I'm right. So anyway, so now Jenny and I, we have a safe word in our marriage, and it's who did. And it's when we remember an event differently.
Wow.
Yeah, it's involved.
That is that's so many layers, because I could see someone interpreting that as like, did I love it or did you love it? Or like, did I love it or did someone else that you stayed here with love it? Because that's how I would have interpreted the who did first. But then the second time, no, he thought it was someone else.
I don't even know. Like, literally over the years, we've had a lot of who dids. I mean, that's the thing about, this speaks to storytelling in a general sense too. It's like we're all remembering things in different ways.
Oh, absolutely.
The way we perceive everything. Like I'm very visual.
Yeah.
And Jen has an extraordinary sense of hearing and smell. And my sense of smell is junk.
Great.
Right?
Love that for you.
I love that for you. So like she'll be like, I smell mildew. And I'm like, I smell nothing.
I haven't smelled anything for years.
Yeah.
Yeah. First of all, I am the smell, 100%. Jonas is the auditory. I am the smell. I am the long-term memory. Jonas is the short-term memory. Like, I cannot remember what happened yesterday, but I could literally word for word, detail for detail tell you the time that I like sucked on a penny to get out of school and ended up actually accidentally faking an appendicitis. And every single thing the doctors said, like,
slept on a penny?
Sucked on a penny.
Sucked on a penny.
I heard a rumor that if you sucked on a penny, it would make your mouth really hot. And you remember like the temperature, like thermometers that had the blue dots that you like.
Sure.
Yeah, and so it like was off the charts. And she's like, oh my gosh. So then did a digital one, and then she was like, you need to go to the hospital right now, like 110 degrees, like so hot from this penny.
Wow.
Have you heard this story?
I've heard, no, I haven't.
Oh, okay. Well, so then I'm like faking it, and I'm really trying to sell it because my first two friends went in before me and they couldn't sell it. And so I was like, well, it's up to me now. You know what I mean? I really want to go home. So now I'm like, I'm very unwell. And she's like, you need to go to the doctor. And I'm like, that's not what, I just wanted to go home. I don't want to go to the doctor.
Right.
That like ruins the whole point.
Yeah.
So then I am going to the doctor, and I'm like down, I'm like, I have a side ache, like my side. And my doctor's like, you need to take her across the street to like the pediatrician, like hospital, like, or, child hospital right now.
And how old are you at this point?
I'm in second grade.
Oh, wow.
Like, and then now I'm trying to, like, from the doctors to the hospital, trying to tell them, like, I was lying, but now they think I'm like lying about lying because they think I just don't want to go to the hospital.
Right.
And they were like, you definitely have an appendicitis.
You're in denial.
And I was like, I do not. I just wanted a day off. Like, please do not like take me to the hospital. I was admitted for 3 days.
No.
Because they could not believe that I was lying because they just thought I was afraid.
At that point, you had told them.
Everyone. I had told everybody.
I tried to fake you out. I tried
and they were
to
like,
just go home.
well, now we have to check. Because with a kid, they're very cautious about like parent and child dynamic and like, are you safe at home? Like all of that. So all of that was happening. And I just felt so bad. And I'm trying to tell my mom I lied. So she's trying to tell them that I lied. And then that makes it look worse because if a parent's like, their kids are lying, then that's like, makes it even, it was a whole situation. And finally I got out. Yeah. And I shared a room with a girl.
Why do they feel like they have to lie?
Yes. Why does she need to lie to get out of school? Like all of it. And I shared a room with a girl that was actually like had an appendicitis. And it was like, I'm about to burst. Like, get me out of here. Like my appendix doesn't want to be in my body anymore. And I'm just sitting there like, can I order another thing of mashed potatoes? Because those were so good.
Oh my God.
So I got my day off.
You were there for 3 days.
3 days.
Oh my gosh.
I don't remember why I started that story. Oh, the sucked on a penny.
Memory.
Oh, memory. Yep. Yeah. So there you go. See, no short-term memory, but I have a very good
See? Why were you saying?
Yeah.
Why were you? That is. Why were we talking about that? Memory. See? Very strong.
That was great.
Very strong. And scene. And this is our improv group. It's it's the Mike and Elyse show. Da 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 da.
There we go. You want to know what's music to my ears? Bread bowls. And that brings me to our beloved sponsor, Panera. Whenever I'm not sure what I'm going to do for dinner, but I know I want something nourishing that I'll really enjoy, I pick up Panera on the way home. Plus, with Panera's new Crunch Time feature, Panera will send you a reminder at whatever time you want to order your favorite preset dinner with one easy swipe. It's been an absolute game changer to make sure dinner is taken care of while I'm out running around. I'm going to start with my favorite, their mac and cheese, featuring a creamy, rich blend of cheeses. But I also like to mix it up too, and Panera makes it easy. Sometimes I'll go with their Fuji apple salad with chicken. Or I'll try one of their unbeatably delicious and hearty soups, like their creamy tomato soup. It's a classic, and I have found no soup that pairs better with their warm, fresh bread bowl. And I have done plenty of research, trust me. So order Panera tonight to get a delicious dinner in one easy swipe. Available only in iOS mobile devices. Other restrictions apply.
And for more information on clean, visit panerabread.com/clean.
I do a lot of writing for this show, and I always try to be really careful about my spelling, my grammar, and just the overall quality of my writing, but it's hard when I'm moving so quickly to check everything. That's why every single day I'm super thankful for Grammarly. They've helped me come off so much more confident in my writing, and also I just feel more confident sending emails, like all of the emails. Grammarly does more than just fix grammar and typos. With Grammarly Premium, it takes your writing to the next level. To me, Grammarly is like having my own personal writing consultant right there with me, letting me know when I'm maybe being a little indirect or less concise than I could be. It's those little checks with their software that make all the difference for me, helping me strike the perfect tone and actually getting things done. The free version of Grammarly offers instant proofreading with comprehensive spelling, grammar, and punctuation suggestions. They also offer a tone detector, but I recommend the premium version, which offers clarity-focused sentence rewrites.
You'll be amazed at what you can do with Grammarly. Go to grammarly.com/podcast to download for free today. That's GRAMMARLY.com/podcast.
That's why I emailed you this week, though. I was listening to our episode, and we talk about how you don't perform on stage.
Yeah.
And I think you're a wonderful storyteller, and I feel like you could really connect with people if you were in a room with them in a way that what you do on socials is deep, but I think that in a room could be deep in a different way.
Yeah.
And you, and on your podcast, which I love, you said, I'm just terrified of being in front of people. And then I was like, I'm doing a bunch of shows. I'm working on new material, and I was like, you could just, if you wanted to, you could just pop in, be an unbilled guest. No one would know you. Yeah. It would just be like, my friend Elyse is here. She's gonna tell a story for 7 minutes and whatever. And then you wouldn't be afraid of it anymore. And then you were like,
that's definitely how it works too. Yeah. You've definitely accurate.
Burned.
That's on me. That's not on you. I love that you're so confident in yourself that you're like, and then it's done. You're cured. And then that's it.
Weirdly, I believe that to be true, and I stand by it.
I believe you. I believe that you believe that 100%.
A burned man standing before you. I double down. I double down on it.
But that is why you're doing what you're doing, is because you have such confidence. And I know I can. I don't think I can't do it. I know I can do it.
Of course you can do it.
You want to know what it is? Honestly, it's the fear that, like, I can't blame it on anyone else but me.
I get that. And
with online, I don't have to have any immediate reaction from anybody. I tell a story that I find funny, and if you don't like it, then you're just not going to see the video, and that's fine, because I don't have to see your reaction. I don't have to go in the comments. I can blame it on the algorithm if it doesn't do well. There are so many things that can play into a video not getting seen. And so if I am standing in front of an audience and I say something and it is silent, I think I would just start crying. Like genuinely, I am so I fake so much confidence that that would be a moment I could feel that a confidence would genuinely crumble.
Yes.
Now, will that stop me from doing it? No, because like I do not want there to be anything in my life that I was like too afraid to do. So I just didn't do it. So I want to get to that point. But now it's to the point where it's like the skill of writing a set that is concise and like performable in front of people and not edited. Like that is what I don't have. And so I wouldn't even know where to start. If you're to be like, here's 7 minutes.
Then I'll tell you where to start.
Yes.
So take the story you just told about faking sick and you just memorize it. You already know it.
Yeah.
You go on stage in an environment like being a guest on one of my shows where like people aren't expecting to see you and they go, oh, okay, what's this? You do 3 minutes, you tell that story. I'm just going to tell you one story tonight, and it might not be funny. And then you tell the story, you walk off stage, and you go, there's a couple laughs. There's a laugh here, there's a laugh here, there's a laugh here, there's a laugh here. How come this didn't get a laugh? And then you start to take it apart and just go like, oh, okay, if I supplemented a joke here or I dropped in a joke that I tell usually in another story here or add color here. And I think like, because here's my question to you is like, it's like what, like in your mind, what's the worst thing that can happen? Like if I threw you on stage in a black box theater with 100 people in the audience, like what, like, and it's like, hey, just walk up and tell a story for 3 or 4 minutes, just like we're doing now, but there's 100 people. What's the worst thing that can happen?
I think honestly, the worst thing that could happen is like, well, I'm terrified of fainting in front of a bunch of people. That's like a number one thing. Answer. But second, like, I don't know how you do it with like, if someone has one impression of you, that's the only time they're ever might see you on a performance, and they're going to walk away, and that is the thing they're going to remember about you. And that's hard to change once somebody has formed an opinion of like, she's not good at this. Yeah. Like, it's really hard to come back from that versus like someone being really good at something once and then being terrible at it the next time, being like, oh, but she's actually good. Like, I saw her last time, she's really good. So that's just a confidence thing too. Like not caring, like,
I'm gonna do a double step process for you getting on stage because I'm taking apart all of the.
I love this.
I'm taking away all the they say this. I mean, this is like an old thing in sales. It's like if someone doesn't want to buy something, go
take
through
away
away all their objections. Be like, okay, what about this? What about this? How you know? And with yours, it's like, okay, well, people will be like, oh, she's not good at this. Well, then we do a thing where I do a show somewhere, you're not billed, no one knows you're there.
What does that mean, billed?
People, it's not featuring Elyse Myers.
I thought you meant like invoiced, like like I'm going to bill her for that. I'm just like, I didn't realize that's how that worked. That feels backwards.
So I charge you $40,000 to walk on stage with me because honestly, it's going to pay off in the long term.
It's an investment in your future. Yeah. Like you're on my stage. This is great for you.
It's my weird pyramid scheme in my middle age.
And you go and you get 10 comedians and you can take a cut of that 40 grand. And at the end of the day, you'll be a millionaire.
You have a real conspiratorial mind, Elyse Myers.
I'm just afraid of everything.
Yeah, exactly. You're really throwing punches where there's no foe.
I've seen so many documentaries about MLMs. Exactly. It's amazing.
Of course. No, so here's the plan. Here's the plan. So we're in Madison. You're unbilled. In other words, it doesn't say Elyse Myers anywhere on the thing. Yeah. It's just a Mike Birbiglia show. In the middle of the show, I go, oh, my friend is here tonight. She's one of my favorite storytellers. I'm going to bring her on stage. Please welcome my buddy, Elyse Myers. And you come on stage. We have 2 microphones. I go, will you tell the story about this? You tell the story. We're both on stage. And then you're like, oh, okay. And then it's like the 2-person thing. It's and really then you go, cool. Well, what would it be like if it was 1 person, just me, the next time?
Wow.
It's like a stair step.
I really like that. I think honestly, like anything is possible. It's not, I really genuinely feel like the fears that you're asking me about, I'm telling you about, aren't things that are going to keep me from doing it from this point forward. Yeah. It's just like, this is the irrational thing that's happening in my brain that gets in the way as I try and write. And so the longer that I've been in this career too, and the more people I've met and the bigger the crowds that I've spoken to just about, like, even yesterday, the event, things like that.
Oh, so you've done that, which is the same thing, basically.
Yeah, I'm not, but the pressure to make people
right. You did an event yesterday where you were kind of on a panel.
Right, yeah, it was me, someone asking just me questions, yeah. Right. But the pressure to be funny, that is the part that is like, the scary part for me, because I feel very comfortable talking. It's like, it's just, I don't know, it's like this weird it's like when I get asked to like act in something, I'm aware that I'm acting, and so I feel like I'm lying, and you're like, she's lying, she's acting, this isn't her. So the weird understanding of like, I'm at a comedy show and this person's going to make me laugh is what's interesting, because that pressure isn't in a TikTok, because nobody knows the point of a video when it starts. Okay. Whatever happens in the video happens. And it's like, so at a comedy show, the expectation is like, you need to be funny, you need to make me laugh. Mm-hmm. And then that's where I feel like if I don't meet that, I've totally failed. But it's just that just comes from an experience. And so I think that learning how to structure a story, and honestly, I was going to ask you, like, so if I were to tell a story on a stage, because it's like the punchline situation, like
the punchline situation.
I mean, like the actual.
That should be the name
part.
Of your comedy album.
This whole punchline situation. Yeah. Look, listen, and if I always fail, just like go to like Jerry Seinfeld, like, you like jazz, like just go straight there. It's like the comedy equivalent of like, and then I found $5 kind of a thing. But anyways,
I don't follow that.
Like. What? Have you ever been telling maybe it's not a well-known thing, maybe it's my brothers and me. You know, like when you're telling a story and someone's like, this is not an interesting story. And then you're like, and then I found $5.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
And then someone's like, oh my God, no way. And so it makes everything else you just said completely irrelevant.
Did you make that up?
I don't know. I thought everyone did that.
You thought that was like a street joke. Like,
yeah, me and my brothers.
Like it's common domain.
Well, yeah, but then me and my brothers would like burn each other, because if you're telling a really like boring story, you're like, did you find $5 after that?
Oh my God, that's so funny.
Yeah.
Well, my joke about that is, in that universe, is that I go, like, once a week my dad will call me and he'll be like, the craziest thing happened. I'm like, what? He'll be like, I was at the hardware store and I was talking to someone and they had heard of you. And I was like, that's not the craziest thing. That's not a story even.
Is that the crazy? That is a fact. That's not even a story.
That's just a thing that happened.
That is a fact about your day.
Yeah. I find that very often people will come up to me and they'll be like, I have the craziest story. And then they tell it and you go, you're kind of waiting for the story to start. Yeah. But actually last night I was doing this benefit show where a guy actually told me one that was pretty good. Like when he first met his wife, like I think it was his mother-in-law was making chicken and they ran out of chicken, and then she offered she was offering everybody more chicken, and someone said yes and there wasn't chicken, so she literally did the thing where she covered bones with skin and put it on someone's plate, and then the person was just like, but this is not chicken. And it was like one of the rare moments where I was like, this is a pretty good story.
Was this a party or just like what's happening?
Yeah. It was like him. I think it was him meeting his wife many years ago. And it was like, it's the in-laws.
Did people watch it happen? Like,
I think so. I think it was like pretty outward facing at the party. Like it was a thing that happened. I know, and I was like,
I have so many questions.
No, but I don't have the answers. It's not my story. But I said to him, I go, usually people tell me stories and they're not that great, and that actually is kind of a great tidbit.
I would love for someone to tell me that story for 10 minutes with every detail that I possibly could get.
All right, but back to you performing. Yeah. So like, okay, then this is the key pivot. This is where it becomes actualized.
Yeah.
What's the upside of you telling a story on stage?
I conquer one of my greatest fears, and it's a huge success, and I keep doing it.
3.
And I become wildly successful
4.
as a stand-up comedian. And
okay.
I have a lot of fun doing it.
That's 5. I'll give you 6. You make people happy.
Oh, yeah.
I think you would.
We can do it.
You'd make people happy.
Thank you.
People would be so happy.
Thank you.
I just think there's nothing that compares to the live experience. Although I have to say, like, what is the thing that when you're making these videos that's most gratifying?
So I've talked about it a little bit. I have 3 like values that it sounds so serious, but like I have 3 values that I cycle every single piece of content through or filter through is to make people feel like known, loved, and like they belong.
Aww.
And which is like so sappy. It's like, that's not funny.
That's sappy.
But with all of that's, when I tell stories that people can relate to, that's like the known. It's like, that's why it's funny, is like, that's me in that story. Or like when I encourage people, I want them to feel loved if they don't have that in their life. And like if they belong, I want to build that community in my content, which is why I'm always in my comments and why I don't tell jokes that put other people down. And like, that's just because that's my style of comedy.
Yeah.
And so those 3 things are my goal. And so while that might not sound funny, comedy can happen through those and still bring a lot of value to people's life. So at the end of the day, the laugh is great, but that's not the end goal. It's to make people feel known, loved, or like they belong.
This is called the slow round. What's a song that makes you cry?
Oh gosh. This answer is going to be very unexpected. I'm not like a religious person, but during Christmas time, when I hear "Mary, Did You Know," it really gets me.
I don't know it. Can you sing the melody?
Yeah. Mary, did you know when your baby boy gives sight to a blind man? It's like it's a song talking to Mary about her son. Like, did you know your son was going to be Jesus? Like,
I think this must be like a local Omaha thing.
It's really not. Clay Aiken sang it.
Oh, really?
I know.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, it's a big song.
It's a huge song.
Oh, it's a big song.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But because now, especially being a mom, that song, I'm just like, my son's gonna be great one day. Like
your son's gonna be Jesus.
No, but it's a very powerful image of like talking to a mom about like, did you have any clue like what your son would do one day?
Oh, that's sweet. It's a
Yeah.
little bit like Dear Theodosia's like that.
Yeah.
Where it's like emotional
It is.
in this kind of a letter to my child.
Yeah.
kind
Now,
of way.
whether you believe the stories that are being sung about, the theme is like, this man did these great things, and you're singing to the mom of this man of like, did you have any clue he would do? And that's a very powerful image. That song always makes me cry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
What about you?
I Can't Make You Love Me, Bonnie Raitt.
Okay.
What's a specific place that isn't your home where you feel like home?
Man. That isn't my home that I feel like home. This isn't like a place, but it's like a place within any place, is on the floor behind like a chair or couch where I'm like hiding.
I love that.
It feels so dark.
No, I don't think it's dark.
I really like being in small spaces that feel like my own, that I'm like, I'm good. No one's going to come like bother me here.
You're like a cat.
Yeah, I'm a cat.
My cats do that.
Yeah, I'm a cat.
You have cats?
No, I am a cat.
You are a cat, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, my cats go places and we're like, I guess the cats ran away. Like,
I think she died down there. I don't really know.
Yeah. But we can't find them.
Yeah.
We're just like, I guess they got out.
Yeah. That was like always my signal to my roommates that like I would work on the floor. I'd have my laptop on the ground, and we had a table. We have chairs. Like I could have gone anywhere, but we had a couch that was like kind of back to facing like the sliding door to our balcony, and I would lay on the floor and do all of my homework there. And it was kind of like this unspoken thing of like, if I'm here, kind of just like life is a little bit too much, and I just want to be here and do my work, and I'll come out and everything will be good and we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
So that's a very good like hard reset for me.
I love that.
Thanks.
I have a deep connection to like my parents' childhood carpet. Like when I was a kid, their bedroom carpet in the summer because they had the only air conditioning unit in the house. And so when it got super hot in Massachusetts in the summer and it got really I would go in and sleep on the floor, and I remember the smell of the carpet.
Would the carpet get cold if you walked in? I love that.
It's nice.
Oh.
And very nostalgic for me. You talk about this one of your stories. Maybe you don't want to do it. Do you remember the toughest crush from your childhood?
Yeah, I do. It was a boy I really, really liked, and we dated, and he was like my best friend, and we actually dated twice. The first time he asked me out as a prank, and like and then we like dated, but like didn't talk for the whole week we dated, and then like I got broken up with by like a casual conversation like, we're not dating still, right?
Right, of course.
And the second time we dated for like a year, and we were like best friends, and we were never meant to date. We were always meant to be best friends, but we didn't know that, because you think if you like someone and they're the opposite gender and you're in high school, then the natural next step is like, then we should date, but like never like just stay friends.
Yeah.
And we dated, and then one day we were like, we should just go back to being best friends. And we just did. And nothing changed. Like, we were just like very, very good friends. And we still communicate today. And it's like really, really sweet.
What's your takeaway from the experience?
I think that like not everything that's good needs to be elevated to be more than that. Like sometimes it's okay that like something that's like good, just leave it at good. It doesn't have to be like great. Like, yeah, because great could ruin good. And like, just leave it good sometimes. Say goodbye to those old antacid brands and say hello to Wonderbelly Antacid. If you're like me and get heartburn from basically everything, you're going to love Wonderbelly. I know that for me, heartburn and indigestion can really affect how I'm feeling and even impact what I choose to eat, which is a huge bummer. I want hot sauce, you guys. I need hot sauce. Wonderbelly's chewable antacids instantly get rid of heartburn, acid indigestion, and a sour belly using the same active ingredients as many of the leading brands. Only Wonderbelly doesn't have talc, artificial dyes, artificial sweeteners, titanium dioxide, or GMOs. And they come in these super cute and colorful aluminum bottles. Wonderbelly antacids come in 4 delicious flavors: strawberry milkshake, lemon sorbet, watermelon mint, and fruity cereal. The strawberry milkshake one is my personal favorite. It's an antacid tablet that actually tastes like strawberries blended into vanilla ice cream topped with whipped cream. And it's dairy-free. And as if the flavors weren't enough, listen to Wonderbelly's tagline for this ad: "Let's kick acid." Obsessed. You can get Wonderbelly Antacid at Target or shop on Amazon with code 20ElyseM to get 20% off. That's 20 ELYSEM, all one word, for 20% off on Amazon. I feel like I spend so much money on food, and it's hard to find good, nourishing food that doesn't also cost like $1 million. That's why this fall I'm going with EveryPlate. They help you get more bang for your bite as America's best value meal kit. EveryPlate is 25% cheaper than grocery shopping with no hidden fees, so you can count on great value week after week. Plus, you only pay for what you need with pre-portioned ingredients. I just made the crispy buffalo ranch chicken with honey roasted carrots and mashed potatoes, and guys, you know how I feel about spicy food. This recipe blew my mind. I cannot believe I made it in my own kitchen. Plus, the step-by-step instructions make it really easy to make with someone else, or maybe even the whole family. EveryPlate provides plenty of delicious variety, so you'll never get stuck in a cooking rut. With 26 tasty and affordable recipes that change every week, it's easy to find something flavorful and satisfying for every meal of the day. Plus, add even more delicious options to your order with up to 22 convenient sides, lunches, snacks, desserts, and more. It's all delicious and definitely worth checking out.
Get started with EveryPlate for just $1.49 per meal plus $1 steaks by going to everyplate.com/podcast and entering code Elyse149. That's everyplate.com/podcast and entering code Elyse149.
This is the section of the show called From the Notebook.
Oh, yes.
And it's, I'll start with this one. One morning I'm at a cafe and I dropped, Una was 3 at the time, at like musical camp or ballet or some kind of group activity where you can leave your child for 3 hours. It could have been like a bin that said toddlers. And I would be like, dropped her in and been like, enjoy bin class. And so I'm with the other like bin class parents at the cafe, and I'm exhausted, holding a coffee, and I look up to sort of take in the nature of the day, and from about 30 feet in the air, a bird shits in my eye, like directly into my eye. And first of all, great aim, bird. Oh, no. Way to go, bird. No. You really nailed it. Second of all, if this hasn't happened to you, all you need to know is that anything dropped from 30 feet in the air in your eye hurts physically a lot.
Yes.
But when the cumbersome liquid pellet is fecal matter, it hurts spiritually.
It's the whole emotional.
And I shouted. I go, ah. Or as my daughter, Una, uses when describing her favorite dinosaur, the hooting hydrosaur, I squawked.
I'm going to need to hear an example of that.
It was like, ah!
Okay, great.
So the moment I squawked, my friend Rob, who was with me, knows I'm a comedian, looks over to me, and he goes, well, it's good material.
Yeah.
And I was like, Rob, there's there's still bird shit in my eye.
This is something you say after I've cleaned it up.
Comedy's tragedy plus time, and
Yeah.
I still have the bird
There's
shit.
no time yet.
Yeah. We need it. We're gonna need it.
Yeah,
in a
we're at
minute.
0 seconds past.
And I jogged back into the coffee shop. I asked for a glass of water, flushed my eye with water. On the plus side, the bird shit really woke me up. Which was the point of the cafe in the first place, right? And then
God, that's so disgusting.
the coffee was nice, but the 70-mile-an-hour bird shit delivery really closed the deal. I feel like they could market that as a bird shit latte. You drink 2 shots of espresso, a bird shits in your eye, $40.
A Charte.
Exactly. In Northern California, they'd call it a bird shit cleanse.
Oh my God.
People would say, have you done the bird shit cleanse? Fun. A little expensive, but they do have to pay the pigeon wrangler.
Yeah.
My bird shit experience drove home a larger point in my life, which is that comedy is tragedy plus time, or at very least pain plus a year. So as I arrive at middle age, I've started to zero in on my purpose, and I think it's to share stories that weren't funny at the time, but I'd like to think are funny now. And of course, I'm just mocking myself, to be clear. In my stories, because in my stories, for the most part, I'm the joke later.
Yeah.
Which harkens back to a line from another
no
special.
hate to the bird. I loved the bird. I just go
Exactly.
really deep.
Yeah. The target of the joke is the bird somehow.
Like, let me get this, like, I want you to get this straight. I am not against birds. Like, so driving that home of, like, no one literally thought you were anti-birds until you are trying to convince me you're not.
No, exactly. And also Rob is maybe the villain, although Rob he's really just saying something that's true.
Yeah.
He's just like, oh, that'll be something.
Yeah.
And it is.
I think that comedy is tragedy plus time, and you're like at least pain plus a year. That is like, that's a really good point of the story where it goes from funny to like heartfelt. Like that. That's a good little like turn the corner there. That moment.
Thanks. Yeah, it's funny. Like your podcast is funny because it's true.
Yeah,
and like you and I like play in the similar sandbox or play in the same sandbox of telling stories, and it's like I always tell people, write down what you're saddest about or angriest about in a journal.
Yeah.
Sometimes for yourself, like it's helpful to just contextualize your life as a story. And when you can see your life as a story, you can zoom out and encourage the main character to make better decisions.
Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly, I attribute a lot of my memory of like back in the day because I've done so much journaling. I remember reading back what I wrote, and that act of like writing, reading, and like internalizing helps you understand what you're experiencing, and then it also helps you remember it. And so it's really interesting, like if you are a creative in any way, whether it is writing or it's art or anything, I always suggest writing things down because it allows you to add another layer of emotion where it's like you experience things through somebody else in yourself. Like you see it the way another person would see it in your life. That things are funny just sometimes because they're true is like a really, really beautiful thing, because I think too, as things are going really horribly in your life, like I have learned to laugh about them because I know they will be funny later because I've made them funny now from 10 years ago. And so honestly, it might be labeled as like a trauma response of just like laughing when something horrible happens. It's like that might not be healthy. But if you can do it in a healthy way, I think it's like a very good way to separate yourself from like horrible things that are happening at the moment.
No, I think that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories you're working on, or do you want me to just continue and tell you one more story?
Tell me one more story.
Okay, great. Usually I just do jokes, but since you're a storyteller, I'm like, I'll tell you stories.
I love it.
All right. A few years ago, Jenny and I rented a house in the country for the holidays, and it was very special until we turned on the heat, and then there just wasn't heat.
Oh no.
And it's Thanksgiving. I called the oil company, and they said they could come that night between 6:30 and 9:30 p.m. with 10 gallons of oil to prime the heating system and make sure it's ready for one of those like super tankers of oil that drive around. And before this incident, I didn't even know what those things did. I just saw them driving around. I thought maybe those guys are just driving around, like, and they and they're listening.
Maybe
to
they really
AM
like driving.
Yeah, they just like driving. They're listening to AM talk radio. They're making jokes on the CB radio. Maybe they're just perpetually driving in circles using the oil in the tank.
That's just a reserve gas tank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the window was 6:30 to 9:30, and I wait in the doorway, and because it's one of those things where I'm like, I'm not going to miss the window.
No.
And I'm like a goaltender. I'm like blocking the front
For
steps
3 hours.
For 3 hours. And no one showed up. I called the company. The company's called Petro. And I said, hey, it's 9:30. No one showed up. And they said, our guy said he showed up. No one answered the door. He left a little card on your door. I go, I'm on the door. No card. I've been here the whole time. And I didn't shout, but I was angry.
Yeah.
He could sense this. And then he replied, Happy Thanksgiving, which felt passive-aggressive.
Did he hang up?
No, he just said, Happy Thanksgiving. And it was a good tactical move in hindsight. It forced me to say Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Like angry. Like, Happy Thanksgiving to you too.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. I said, Happy Thanksgiving to you too. Even though he was completely fucking me over in real time and lying to me, like the Pilgrims. So the Petro guy says the technician will come over to your house that he's after the house he's currently at. Get a phone call at 10:30. It's the technician. And he says, I'm a half hour away. I say, I'll stay up all night. So the man from Petro shows up at 11:15 p.m. He gets out of the van. He says, I am Pedro. And I'm looking at his truck. And it says Petro. And I'm exhausted. Like, I'm like out of it. And I'm thinking, there's no way his name is Pedro. And he works for a company named Petro. I can't possibly call him Pedro. Because he might be like, why would you call me the name of my company? And I'd be so embarrassed. So I go, come on in, man. And it got me self-conscious about my use of the word man.
Yeah.
I was like, Pedro's got to be 10 years older than me. I'm using the casual man all of a sudden. So then I modified. I go, right his way, sir. And then I thought, what am I, some kind of weird blue-blooded rich guy who calls everyone sir? So Pedro and I work on this for a little bit, which means he works on it. I bring him tea.
Yeah.
At 1 a.m., Pedro says, I don't know what to tell you, Mike. I cannot fix this thing. I said, okay, sir. He tried to call his company, but his phone was doing an update. So I said, I'll call them. I said, hi, this is Mike Birbiglia. I'm here with, and I could see in Pedro's eyes that he really thought I should know his name by now. I said, the man from your company. I'm going to put him on speaker so he can identify himself and explain the rest. So I put him on speaker, and he says, hi, this is Pedro. I said, got it.
Got it.
In an evening full of failures, at least I know his name is Pedro. From that point on, I used the name Pedro a lot. And I commit it to memory by a mnemonic device, which is Pedro works for Petro. So Pedro tells me this is way over his head and that he's going to send a technician in the morning, first thing to fix it. Then he tells me to call Petro in the morning and explain that I have a baby and that this is dangerous. He knows I do not have a baby. He knows my daughter's like 5 years old, and we've talked about our kids. He knows I don't have a baby. He knows my daughter's 5. We've talked about our kids at this point. We've spent a lot of time together, me and Pedro. But apparently, if you want heat, you really have to raise the stakes. You have to say you have a baby. And so in the morning, I wake up, I call, I go, you got to understand we got a baby. This baby might die.
Oh, no.
And you're all going to hell.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, exactly. Yeah. And so at 1 p.m., this guy Charlie comes over. And Charlie goes, I'm going to get you heat. And there's something about Charlie's confidence that makes me feel like he's going to get us heat.
Yeah.
It also made me want to have sex with Charlie, even though I'm a heterosexual man, happily married. I just thought, Charlie's looking good.
You're saving the day.
Yeah.
You're saving my hypothetical baby.
Yeah. This is the line I wrote. I might cut it out, but I wrote it for today. I wrote, Charlie brought the heat, which made me want to give him the heat. Maybe it's too much.
Yeah.
It might be too much. It's something in that universe because I've done this on stage a couple of times and made me want to have sex with Charlie is actually the biggest line in it right now.
Yeah.
Because I think there's something relatable about when anyone is wildly competent.
Yeah.
And you've been dealing with complete and total incompetence. Like you're just like, oh, I'm attracted to this person.
I think we'll be physically intimate.
Yes, I think it's time that we're physically intimate.
Yeah.
An hour later, Charlie fixes the heat, and I have a $100 bill in my wallet and nothing else. I never use cash. It just a random $100 bill. Charlie fixes the heat. I hand him a $100 bill. He goes, no, it's not a tipping thing. And
you never know.
And then I take his hand, and I put a $100 bill in his hand, and I go, Happy Thanksgiving. So anyway, that's a news story. I've been doing that for 6 weeks or something.
The baby situation is getting worse and worse. To me, is the funniest line. That's
line. Interesting.
That is like this because it makes no sense.
It makes no sense.
But it conveys the entire idea of the whole story. Is the baby situation's getting worse and worse. There's so much in that sentence. So what I was going to say too was when. The part after you learn his name, I wanted you to say his name so many more times when you're talking about
it. Yes. Pedro, come right in. I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah, but like when you're
something else, Pedro.
But like, when you're talking to the audience about Pedro.
Yeah.
Like, and then Pedro told me to say I had a baby because Pedro and I have been talking forever.
Oh, that's
so Pedro
nice.
Has,
right. From that point on, Pedro gets said 100 times.
A million times.
Yeah, I love that.
You never
that's
stop saying
strong.
Pedro. Yeah. Anyways, that's what I thought.
And it just as we're talking about it out loud of like having what made me want to have sex with Charlie. I mean, it made me want to have sex with Charlie, which goes to the source of I think the reason I'm fixing the heat in the first place is I want my wife to want to have sex with me the way that I want to have sex with Charlie.
I want to be Charlie.
I want to be Charlie.
I want to be Charlie.
To be Charlie.
That makes sense.
I mean, maybe that's what the story's about.
You want to fix it.
You want to fix it. I mean, like, there's a dual purpose happening in the story, and in real life, certainly. It's like I'm always trying to impress my wife. I'm always trying to be like awesome, and then with my daughter, I'm just trying. I mean, the whole thing of being a parent is to make sure they stay alive and warm.
Yeah.
So you're just like, I got to get them heat.
Well, I think honestly, that story to cap it might be funny if I start with the idea of like. Because you're on vacation, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
If this is crossing a line, tell me. But like,
no,
if you're on
please.
vacation,
There is no crossing a line.
Like, vacation sex, right? Okay, great. So you're like, I want this to be a nice, fun experience, but you don't have warmth. You are trying to get this fixed. Charlie finally leaves or whatever. You go, and then after this whole, his name was Charlie, right? Yeah. This whole situation is like, now I want to have sex with Charlie because like he's fixed this problem for me, and he leaves, and then you're like, the door closes, and you're like, where were we? Like, kind of like resuming this like. This is a way too long of a setup for a very simple premise of like things that just happen in normal life. Also, that could not be funny in any way. And then you found $5.
I think that's interesting. I think that it's worth an experiment actually to do something in the universe of talking about my relationship with my wife, and I'm always trying to impress her.
Yeah.
One time we were on vacation, blah, 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 and there was no heat, and I was like, I'm going to save the day.
Yeah, more like that.
You know
like,
what I mean?
You want to fix the situation.
Yeah.
And then like they leave, and you're just like, I did it. I told you I would do it.
And then we had sex, and I pretended it was Charlie.
Oh, no. I think we're telling different stories.
No. It's yes-anding, and wherever it goes, it goes. No, I think I love that. And I think that, there's a lot. Well, then a lot of the stuff I'm talking about on stage lately in the Working It Out shows has been about marriage and domesticity. And I'm trying to figure out, and I wonder if you deal with this with your videos, because I think you have probably a really young audience actually, is like you probably have a lot of fans who aren't married, maybe aren't in a relationship and relate to what you're doing. It's like, why do you think they relate to you talking about being married?
You'd be shocked. The widest demographic I have is women that are like 35 to 45 married. And like in relationships. And so I find it harder actually to create content that people relate to when I am talking about like younger things, which is really like everyone can relate to a funny story from your childhood. So you don't have to be that age to relate to that. But like a lot of the stuff I don't talk about being a mom a lot, but when I do, it is like all the comments of like, oh my God, me too. And like people are looking for that. And so to me, it's like, that's where I see the most like, I don't expect that kind of relatability because I just forget that people connect to me that are not my age. It's really interesting.
So the final thing we do is called Working It Out for a Cause. And it's any organization that you think does a good job, and we contribute to them, and then we link to them in the show notes.
Yes. National Birth Equality Collaborative. So the United States is like the only industrialized like country that the maternal mortality rate is like increasing all of the time.
Yes.
We have like not figured it out. And especially for like marginalized communities, like Black pregnant people like do not get the care that they need.
Yeah.
And it's just wild to me. And once I became pregnant, I just realized how scary it is that you just rely on the people around you, and like you just have to trust people that you know nothing about, and your life is just like in someone else's hands. So this organization just basically like really focuses on care for people in like just marginalized communities, that they get the care that they need when they're pregnant, after birth, like the babies, like before birth and after, like all of it. It's just a complete situation. And
well, I'm going to contribute to them. We're going to link to them in the show notes, encourage people to contribute as well.
Yeah.
Elyse, this is such a joy. And then our next goal is we got to get you on stage telling stories to a group of strangers.
Yes.
Because it's going to bring joy to the world.
We're going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to shake on that.
We're going to shake.
I promise.
Working it out, cause it's not done. We're working it out, cause there's no one.
That's going to do it for another episode of Working It Out. I loved that chat with Elyse Myers. I hope that's the first of many. You should check out her podcast. It's called Funny 'Cause It's True. It is a very original podcast. I really couldn't recommend it more highly. You can follow her on Instagram and TikTok at Elyse Myers, ELYSEMYERS. You can watch the full video of this interview on our YouTube page at Mike Birbiglia soon. Hopefully either now or tomorrow or the next day, but very, 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 very soon. We just posted our first episode on YouTube for our 100th episode. We had Ira Glass, and people wrote all these nice comments to the point where people commented on how it was the nicest comment section they'd ever been on YouTube, which made me so happy. The Elyse video should be up there in a couple days. Check that out. Subscribe, because we're going to be posting more and more videos. Check out Birbiglia.com to sign up for the mailing list. Be the first to know all about my upcoming shows. For example, the Philadelphia shows are sold out and the Providence shows are sold out. However, I'm doing, there's a few more tickets for my shows in Levittown, Long Island, and as well as Sag Harbor, which is in the Hamptons, and it's gorgeous little town. It's the Bay Street Theater. I did 2 shows at this Bay Street Theater, which I did last summer. I did The Old Man in the Pool last summer. This summer, all new material. Completely new show. Just working out new material. More new cities coming soon where I'm working on new material. And of course, I'll be in London and Scotland in the summer and the fall. Our producers of Working It Out are myself, along with Peter Salamone and Joseph Birbiglia, associate producer Mabel Lewis, consulting producer Seth Barish, assistant producers Gary Simons and Lucy Jones, sound mix by Shub Sarin, supervising engineer Kate Belinsky. I'd like to thank the great Monique Carboni, who has taken awesome photos for us in these new episodes in the new studio that was built by our friend Eddie Lewis. You can check out her work on Instagram. We always tag her in the photos of hers that we post. Special thanks to Graham Willoughby. Also, you can follow him on Instagram as well, who helped us with a lot of the cinematography in the Ira Glass episode. Really, a lot of people have commented on how cool it looks, and that is all Graham Willoughby. Special thanks to Marissa Hurwitz and Josh Upfall, as well as David Raphael and Nina Quick. My consigliere is Mike Berkowitz. Special thanks to Jack Antonoff and Bleachers for their music. Special thanks to my wife, the poet J-Hope Stein. Little Astronaut is in bookstores now. Special thanks, as always, to my daughter Una, who built the original radio fort made of pillows. And thanks most of all to you who are listening. If you're enjoying the show, rate and review on Apple Podcasts. Tell your friends, tell your enemies. Maybe in the spirit of how Elyse Myers tells stories, make a video, post it online. Go, this video goes out to all my enemies, and I want to make peace with you. And while I'm doing that, I want to recommend a podcast called Mike Birbiglia is Working It Out. Make that video, tag your enemies, and then maybe, turn off the comments. Because who knows? Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
For more episodes of Mike Birbiglia's Working It Out, search for the show wherever you get your podcasts or click the link in the episode notes.
Hey listeners, I'm here today to tell you about Lemonada Media's newest limited podcast series called Declined. This 10-part series takes you through the journey of two exceptional women from incarceration to freedom, ultimately leading to the creation of the Returning Artists Guild, an organization that uplifts the artwork of currently and formerly incarcerated artists across the country. Call Declined premieres November 27th, wherever you get your podcasts.
What's up, everyone? I'm Delaney Fisher, comedian and serial entrepreneur.
And I'm Kelsey Cook, comedian and, I swear this is real, a world champion foosball player.
On our podcast, Self-Helpless, we dig into everything from heartbreak to career burnout to the wild stories from our 20s and the many anxieties we've experienced along the way.
We're often joined by guests who range from celebrities to renowned health experts.
And together, we'll unpack big topics like deciding whether or not we want kids, building your dream career, strengthening self-trust, and much, much more.
So join us every Monday for an unfiltered, entertaining, and honest conversation with friends where you don't even have to leave your house. If you're not wearing pants, we will never know.
That's right. So listen to Self-Helpless wherever you get your podcasts. Yes. 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 Yes.